Am I a good mom? That's a question that all of us mothers ask at one point or another. So today we're going to go over and explore what it means to be a good mom and what is a good mom anyway. Hi, my name is Monica Anderson, life and wellness coach for busy moms looking to reclaim their voice, wholeness, and magnetism on their way to a sustainable, holistic life. The question of being a good mom or what is a good mom is completely personal to each person and stems from our ideas on what a good mom is. And that is usually based on society and how we are raised. A lot of times, our own mothers affect how we become a mother or how we mother. And if we're not aware of the things that are going on with us as children and that impacted us as children, maybe not in the most positive way, then we may end up repeating those ways of being towards our children. And an example of this is when I was growing up, my mother was emotionally unavailable. As a child, I didn't understand this, and it was very traumatic for me in a lot of ways. And I carried that trauma on when I became a mother to my oldest children, who were born in 1996 and 1999. My mom was very busy with her other children, and she did not have support that she needed raising us, and that she was dealing with her own issues. But it wasn't until I was an adult and I really realized that this wasn't personal. But I had to, one thing that I decided as a little kid was that I was never going to be the kind of mother that my mother was. And so I could interpret that to meaning that she wasn't a good mother, but it was just the one aspect of it, that I wanted to make sure that my kids never felt alone or like they were in the way or that they were a stress. I always wanted to make sure that they felt loved and cherished and wanted. And my mom did do that in other aspects now looking back, but at the time, it was very difficult for me to see it because like I told you, she was emotionally unavailable. So when I had my first two kids, I gave them all of my energy. I never did anything for myself. And I made sure that all of their needs were taken care of. But I was still implementing the part that I really did like, of creating independence and teaching them to do things on their own. Um, and those were all things that I was establishing to be a good mom. But what I want to encourage you to think about is that um, there is no being a good mom. You are a woman who has had children and you are in the world trying to figure it out yourself. You may have unhealed trauma that is definitely affecting your family. And so the number one thing to do is to really go within, as I'm always stating, because it's so important and it's so life changing, to go within and really establish who you are and what you care about and what's important to you. Being a good mom doesn't mean have a perfectly organized pantry or that your kids have the latest electronics or that your kids are going to the best prep school or you're driving a new car or we could go on and on. If you're working all the time to provide this beautiful home for your kids and you're not there for your kids, but your definition of being a good mom is providing a huge home and new cars and new clothes, Is that working for you? The biggest way to tell if it's working for you, and if you're connecting your mind, body, and soul as a mother, which is key to really giving your kids what they need, is how your kids are responding to you. And so I look at, there's so many examples and so many things that I have done. I have 4 children, 2 adult children, 22 and 25. And then I have a stepdaughter who's 13, and I have my 3-year-old. So I really have the gamut of ages and kids and lessons and things that I've learned. And there's definitely moments that I, fall off the wagon, if you want to, so to speak. And you're always going to have your shadow self, as I like to call it, and your enlightened self kind of pulling at each other. So don't feel like because you yelled at your kids or you spread yourself too thin and you ended up giving them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for dinner 3 nights in a row, that you're a bad mom. I want you to start defining your mothering through if your mind, body, and soul are connected. I think it's important to look at these 2 things in determining how your mothering is going. I always wanted my kids when they were little. When I was raising them when they were little, my 22 and 25-year-old, I started off thinking about them as teenagers and adults. I didn't want them to have a relationship with me as teenagers and adults where they didn't speak to me and didn't want to speak to me. And so everything I did was humanizing the experience of being a mother. I was conscious of not putting my own personal beliefs or way I wanted to be onto them. And I was always doing my relationship with them, if you want to say it like that. I was always creating a relationship with them with the idea in mind that they are whole people, and that I'm not here to just dictate a bunch of things for them to do and make sure that they look perfect, to make sure that their papers all got A's, that their grades were perfect. That didn't matter to me. If my kids didn't want to talk to me, or if my kids shut me out, if that was going to happen, then that would be an indication to me that I wasn't on the right path. And how did I accomplish this? I've accomplished where I have 2 children that I have a very close relationship with, especially my son, in the sense that he comes to me and asks me my advice, and we have a relationship now as peers almost, and I cherish it so much. And the same with my 25-year-old. She always looks for information and looks at me as more of a model on how to be, because she sees me always changing and growing as a person. And I was always frank with them about the way my struggles when they were little. I would always tell them if I did yell at them, or if I was grumpy for some reason, I didn't try to hide it. I just told them, sometimes I was saying a lot of apologies, and other times I was just explaining to them, listen, I'm going through this. I'm trying to work through this. It's not about you. I want you to know that I love you and I cherish you. And I am thankful for the opportunity to be your mother, even though this is a very stressful situation. And that always allowed them to see that I was human and that they could approach me with anything. And I told them this when they were young. I have a philosophy to raise your kids from 0 to 7. With the idea that they are just recording everything. They're recording how to interact. They're recording their ways that they look at the world. And so it was super important for me to express to them that, people go through difficult times, and I'm not perfect, and things don't need to be perfect, and there is no such thing as perfect. And that allowed them the space to not have to be perfect. And so I just want to encourage you to look at that and look at your mothering as in the big picture, that you want to have that connection when they're teenagers and when they're adults. You want to be able to influence them when they're teenagers, because when they're teenagers, it's a lot like when they're toddlers. They want their freedom, but they still need your guidance. And if you've created a situation where they're not able to, they don't feel comfortable coming to you because they think that they have to be perfect or that you might judge them or whatever, then you're missing that opportunity, and that leaves the opportunity for other people to come in and give them advice. And you want to make sure that you are able to influence them with what you've experienced and what you've gained and what you find is valuable, and that they feel comfortable coming to you. The other thing that I would look at is you want to think about, and I've kind of talked about this, but that you're a soft place to fall for your kids, that they feel like they can come to you and tell you everything and feel comfortable telling you everything, even their failures or their triumphs, that you're the first person that they call, that they think of telling. You want them to want you to be proud of them, but not in a way that they feel scared of you. And this is something to just keep in mind when you're interacting with them, especially from 0 to 7. You're really creating that foundation on how they're going to behave and interact with you when they are older. I didn't actually have a relationship with my stepdaughter until she was 6, but I'm her primary person now to come to with her thoughts and her feelings and what she cares about and the things that make her sad, because she knows that I'm here to help her explore what she's going through, not to give her the answers, because my answers are based on my perception of things. I want her to be her own person. I want her to bloom where she's at. And I'm just here as a guidance to kind of help her think about things in a way that will fulfill her and bring her to the next line of thinking, the next thing to think about. I'm here to help her create consistency in her life, which breeds success. So whatever it is she's doing, it's just kind of helping her give a overview of what's going on in her life. And that will, like I said, that makes her feel secure, and that makes her come to me when things get really difficult. And I notice this even with my 3-year-old. I'm here just to guide her. I'm not here to tell her how to do things. I don't even give her coloring pages with lines on it for her to color in the lines, because I want her to color outside of the lines in life. I want her to explore who she is. I want her to find her fulfillment from within and let her light shine out. I'm not here to put my ideas onto her, because she's a special person that the world needs, and her uniqueness is what I want to bring out. So I don't want to ever do anything to stifle any of that in the name of being a good mom. So really ask yourself, what is it that I determine as being a good mom? And are these things bringing forth in my child their uniqueness, their creativity, and their love for life? Or am I getting an opposite response? Now, moms, when you're going through this process of figuring out who you are and connecting your mind, body, and spirit, and wanting your kids to do the same thing, you're definitely going to have doubts along the way. And I just want you to know that that's completely normal. And you're going to have, it's like the yin and yang of life. You're going to have your moments where maybe what you did or how you responded wasn't the best thing overall in that situation, and you know it. But that's okay, because then you just go to them and you just say, I wasn't acting right, or I was frustrated with this. But just know that you're going to have doubts creep in when you start mothering from a heart center and not from your mind, and not going by what society says that you should be doing. I let my child go. Sometimes she has mismatched shoes. They both fit her and they're both the right size, but that's what she wants to wear. And I don't care about the judgment of society that my child should look a certain way, because my relationship with my child and her happiness and wholeness and her magnetism is more important than whether her shoes match or whether they match her outfit. I'm not willing to get in a fight with her so that because of the pressure I feel. So I just want you to know in closing that you're going to have doubts and some of this is going to feel a little uncomfortable, but just know and trust in the process that when you go from your heart center and you're connecting your mind, body, and soul as a woman and as a mother, your children and what you ultimately want are going to come through. And it's going to take time. You're not going to see the results of this right away, especially if your kids, you're starting this kind of way and your kids are a little bit older, maybe, 5, 6 and up. It takes a little bit, it takes consistency over time, but it can be done. And your kids will thank you so much for this, that they have somebody in this world to turn to and know that they're going to be loved and cherished for who they are, not who you want them to be, which is based on what you think society thinks that they should be. So if you ladies would like help with this or want to talk about this more, I would love for you to drop some comments and tell me the different things you do that quote make you a good mom, how you lead from the heart. And this may be some cute things that your kids say that reassure you that you're leading from the heart center and not from the mind. And if you would love to work with somebody, you'd love to work with me to explore this further and kind of talk out some of the things that you're thinking or struggling with in being a mom and just creating a plan and a way, a roadmap on how to do it, I'm here for you. You can visit my website, rawwithpeace.com, and go to my packages and look at those. And I would really love to hear from you and I would love to work with you. This is a passion of mine and it's a new way of kind of looking at mothering and a new information from a soul level. And I would love to share more with you. Thank you so much.